Alright, so this video is for new players. I'm going to say that right off the bat. So if you're a new player and you want to understand a little bit better how to build a decent mage build and how to structure the character as you progress through Dark Souls 3, this video series is going to be for you. This isn't going to be a very long, drawn-out guide or walkthrough because I don't really want to spoil too much and leave you to experience the story and the different events that happen as they may. That being said, we are going to focus on some stats, on some milestones for your character's development, and some things to keep in mind when you're developing your character. I'm going to be developing this character as well, so as I progress through with my mage build, I will be showing some videos every 10 or 15 or 20 levels, or whenever I feel like I've accomplished enough to where I need to make a video about it to keep everyone up to date, so that you have a good idea on what types of progression your character should take and what types of things you should keep in mind when developing this character. So let's start off right away with stats. So as far as statistics go, I highly recommend increasing strength and dex to 11 and 16 so you can use the Uchi Katana. It's a good starting weapon. It's got a good move set. You can enchant it with the fire gem. It almost doubles the damage. And early on, weapons don't scale that well with stats, since your stats are so low and you haven't leveled up the weapon all that much. So it's a good idea to just enchant it right away, give it some flat damage. And as you start leveling up your stats and start getting access to newer weapons that actually scale, this will start coming more and more obsolete, but it's always good to have as a backup weapon. Very helpful. Another thing I recommend doing is buying a large leather shield so you can parry and block stuff. This is way better than the shield you start with. This one at least has 85 physical. You get it from the old hag sitting in the chair in the red clothes, that jabroni. Just buy it off her. Pretty good, decent shield. Talk to, there's a guy inside, you want to talk to him, get your cracked red eye orbs, go invade a few people, have a bit of fun. And another thing you're going to want to focus on is Vigor. So why we're focusing on Vigor for a mage build is because you only start out with 7. And managing as many stats as we are, we're managing attunement as well as Vigor, endurance, and vitality, our actual weapon stats based on the weapon we want to use, and intelligence. So we got a lot more stats to juggle around here. Now granted, all we have to do is get to the minimums of the weapon we want to use to start with, and then we don't really have to increase it anymore. But it's still something we've got to consider putting points into, in addition to putting points into everything else. So you want to choose your stats wisely, and that's where most people fail in their mage builds when developing them, and it makes their playthroughs much more difficult because they didn't plan out their stat increments all that well. And that's one of the key parts as to why I'm doing these milestone videos, is to help people look at what types of stat development they should have at certain parts of their playthrough. Alright, so I left intelligence alone and put some points in Vigor so we have a little bit more health and we have a little bit more forgiveness in getting hit and taking damage. In addition to that, we're probably not going to increase vitality all that much, simply because we're going to be spending most of our points in intelligence. So we're going to be relying mostly on maneuverability, parrying, and our health pool to take damage. So that's why we're jacking Vigor up. We don't want to build necessarily a glass cannon, okay? But we don't want to be, too weak. So that's why focusing on Vigor a bit. All right. That being said, I'll roll into some other important parts that you should do. So you can get a free Estus shard real quick and get access to a little early area by running up this tree. Just aim yourself right at kind of like at that V where the branches diverge, and just run up there. And once you get a boost well enough, you'll just do a quick run over and jump onto the side. It takes a couple tries, but eventually you'll get it. That was pretty close. Alright, we made it. So once you come up here, you can grab these souls, or whatever's there, I forget, quite frankly. But that's not important. Just go inside this little area, do not fall. Very easy to fall. There's going to be an Estus shard for your flask right over here. These stupid-ass crows, you can drop items to them. You'll probably have a homeward bone. You can at least drop one of those and maybe a firebomb and get some titanite. There's a lot of other items you can drop. I'm not really going to cover it all right now, but definitely it's useful to have access to that. And then you can just roll down here, grab a ring, and this ring is a covetous silver serpent ring. It'll give you more souls. It's roughly 10% more souls for each kill. So pretty much whenever you get souls, it's 10% more. That's awesome. So that's very useful to have. Alright, so if you are more strength focused instead of dexterity focused, I recommend getting this item. This is in the building right below where the dragon is perched. There's this mimic chest. I highly recommend you bring some people with you if it's the first time you're going to fight one of these guys, simply because he packs a big punch, he does a lot of damage, and he's definitely a tough opponent for your first try against one of these guys. Just keep dodging out of the way and you should be fine. The axe you get is just like our fire katana, but it's enchanted with dark, and it's obviously strength focused. So definitely a good alternate weapon if you want to focus on strength. One of the other things you're going to want to do is get the jail cell key. So after you kill these dogs in this room, the key's going to be right in this corner, right down those stairs. And that key will let you rescue the thief who's been captured and is currently being locked up. Alright, so I didn't save any footage of me unlocking, or I should say rescuing the thief. So this is how you get there. Right from this bonfire, you go right downstairs. I'm just going to ninja dodge through all this stuff. Go past this halberd wielding zombie dude. And you're going to take a right at the end of this hallway. Not even a hallway, this area. And he's right down these stairs. Right here. He's going to be sitting right there. He's definitely a good character to unlock, because later on you can send him out to steal things, and he'll usually come back with a ton of really good stuff to sell. Really interesting character to have. You just got to complete a small little quest line for him, which is pretty easy to do. But you got to be careful, because if you do send him out, there's always the risk of him dying, and then you lose him forever. So I don't know what the drivers are for that, but it does happen. So I hope this was a very useful video to my fellow Mage players out there. And I hope if this is your first time playing a Dark Souls Mage character, or even your first time playing Dark Souls, you're considering watching the rest of this series that I'm going to make. And I'm going to put out these videos maybe every 10 or 15 levels, just to recap some of the important things you should focus on when leveling up your character, and some of the things I'm considering when leveling up my character, so that my character remains competitive, not only when being invaded by enemy players in PvP, but also in the support of PvE combat, and considering the stat requirements I'm going to need for endgame content and endgame PvP around level 100 to 120. So, thank you for watching my video. Please like and subscribe. I appreciate any feedback in the comments. If you want to see different types of videos, if you want to learn more or have different types of questions about certain things, please feel free to pick my brain. I'm pretty good at analyzing the statistical nuances of Dark Souls. Thanks again.